I always considered myself a Facebook warrior, I like to call it. So month in, month out, I always sold about half, 60% of my deals from that month from Marketplace.
When that post came up about is anybody using AI to post on the Facebook Marketplace, everybody said, stay away from it, stay far away from it.
I essentially ran like an idea though of what this would have costed me and the time that it would have taken to make this without AI. And it said it was like 16 to 32 months. And it was, I think it said 9 people, like developers, and around $2 million.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Car Dealer AI Show. This is where we speak to dealers and vendors alike to show you what's working now, what possibilities are out there when it comes to just AI specific for car dealerships. Specifically on the vendor calls, we like to inspire people and show people what's possible, because many times people just think the AI is still just ChatGPT and prompts. But AI is so much more than that right now, but a lot of us just don't know exactly what to do with it. I'd like to welcome Hayden Tucker. He is the owner and founder of Autolander. It is an incredible automotive tool that posts on Facebook Marketplace. A little bit of background that I'd like to give on that is I used to be a big seller of Facebook Marketplace. We've had our marketing agency since 2017, and we used to sell Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. And I think it might have been in 2019 or so, we took a little bit of a hit because of the fact that Facebook removed the ability for dealers to post on Facebook Marketplace. And what I mean by that is we used to post in bulk via API. And so vehicles would just always be updated every single day. They were just there and it was no big deal. Same with Craigslist. And then Facebook realized, hey, this is a peer-to-peer system. This we can't have businesses just saturating our marketplace this way. But dealers still are like, I want this back. Like, this is crazy profitable. And I will say firsthand that dealers make a lot of money when they sell the vehicles on Facebook Marketplace, and they get a lot of exposures and a lot of leads. But now what is needed is manual posting, and ain't nobody got time for that. Hayden has figured out how to let AI solve this for us. So I'll kick it over to you, Hayden. Tell us a little bit about your platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that, John. Same. I was just a salesperson for about 4 years, and I always considered myself a Facebook warrior, I like to call it. So month in, month out, I always sold about half, 60% of my deals from that month from Marketplace, and that was just doing it manually. And it's been cool to see over the years as some of this technology has came out, and the capabilities just of what you can do with it. I kind of started looking at that, and me as a salesperson myself posting, it's a headache, one, posting all the inventory, especially if you're at a dealer or a store with 100+ vehicles in inventory, and then on the back end actually managing those vehicles on Marketplace, making sure everything's up to date, and the prices are correct, etc. That was a whole another headache in itself. So essentially that's what Autolander was inspired by. It's a very simple tool that just automates the posting for you, so it will post your inventory in bulk. And we are very cautious about tiptoeing around those Facebook APIs. We don't want to throw any red flags up to Facebook and get accounts banned and stuff like that. So we tiptoe around those. We make sure that the posts are happening in a natural cadence, a natural drip. And then on that back end with, keeping up with, like I said, any price updates, etc. that happen. It's a very simple, straightforward thing.
Yeah, this actually just came up. Are you in the Facebook group that we created, AI and Automotive?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I figured that's where you found us. and it just came up, and I want to just dive a little bit deeper into that so that way you can give some more details into the
Sure.
last topic, because when that post came up about is anybody using AI to post on the Facebook marketplace, everybody said stay away from it, stay far away from it, because there it could ban your Facebook account. And
Right.
I don't know if that's true or not, but I'd love to for you to just provide more detail into how you're staying compliant and how you're getting around these things. I also am a big fan of like LinkedIn automation, and my LinkedIn has never gotten banned because there's
Yeah.
just ways to do it. And so I use a platform right now. It used to be called, I used to use a platform called Meet Leonard. Now I use a platform called Dripify, and these platforms are built to know what you should or should not do. How to move your mouse when you're automating things, what frequencies and separating frequencies. So for me, I'm familiar with it. A lot of people may be scared of it, so I want to, dive into that
Yeah.
and kind of, yeah, get ahead of it.
Yeah, so they're definitely don't, I mean, especially in like the development, whenever I first started looking into the technology and like just seeing if something like that was even possible, I definitely looked at a lot of other tools for inspiration, if you will, and just kind of to get an idea of like how different things were working. And I would say the biggest kind of thing that Facebook's APIs look for is like bot like activity, things happening faster than they should be, just unnatural cadences. And so I have yet, like knock on wood, but I've yet to have anyone get an account banned. Because, like I said, I guess on average, it probably takes about 5-ish minutes to make a post like yourself manually. So two things is, let's just say that you have 10 vehicles you want to post. If you do use Autolander, it's going to take probably, 45 minutes, maybe to an hour to actually complete those posts. But again, it's just happening in the background. It's not something that you have to actively like monitor, or it doesn't take any, manual input from you. And that kind of gives it or works around the bot like cadence, and also doing it that way as well. You don't even really want 10 vehicles just to smack the feed at once, because then also you're competing against yourself on the marketplace feed. um, so that's been the biggest one for sure. Also, there are certain parameters around like the amount of posts you can make a day, and things like that. But I would say the biggest one that even makes this possible is just like actually just the cadence in which those vehicles are being posted.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And because it is such a long manual process, I would assume, are you using like browser automation, or how is this being accomplished?
Yeah, so it is all through browser automations, and it's not doing anything like magical. It is just a very simple, straightforward tool. It's just essentially opening. Um, it's essentially just opening your Facebook account, and it's clicking through to your marketplace, and it's filling out the listing form, and then selecting the groups and posting. So it's that's kind of the effect that you're getting. Is it is probably relative to the results that you could get doing it yourself manually. However, it would take a lot of time, especially on the back end, trying to keep track of everything. So on that end, just essentially consistently monitoring, if you're using like your direct dealerships feed, or if you're using, a car gurus or cars.com feed, whatever you're using to pull the inventory from. It's just essentially going and scraping or checking to see if any changes occurred, every hour or so. That's how it keeps track of everything. So yeah.
Let me talk about a topic, and I'm going to tee this back up to you. Um, to give some more details, and maybe we'll jump into your platform in a minute.
Sure.
But there is this trending topic called death to SaaS vendors. And so basically saying that like AI is becoming so powerful nowadays that people are rebuilding things on their own, or they're just capable of doing certain things that SaaS has been capable, that is capable of doing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, an easy example that people give is like HubSpot CRM and Salesforce CRM. People are just having AI just build them a new CRM because HubSpot and Salesforce are crazy expensive.
Right.
They are built for businesses and have had so many feature requests over the years that they are powerful, but people only use about 10% of the functionality. Where you can go just build your own CRM inside of a platform like Replit, and it'll be done. You just give it your requirements. One thing that comes to mind about your platform is right now, technically, I could go to like Called Cowork and have it post to Facebook Marketplace. I just before I had a podcast right before this, just before that, I had Claude Cowork start on a big project that I knew I was going to have to go online, download software, and then I was going to have to do all this other stuff that I was going to have to figure out. I was going to have to open up Terminal, and I was like, I don't want to do this anyways, so let me just have it being done while I was on that podcast. So then it just
Yeah.
did it for me. I
Yeah.
checked or jumped on this phone call, and it was all done.
Yeah.
Uh, but my view on the SaaS vendors is that yes, it is very possible that company or people, users, are going to recreate software or create their own version of software or use even things like Claude Cowork where you don't even have to build your own software to get a job like that done.
Yeah.
Where SaaS vendors win is when they create a process that is so unique and so convenient that it makes it above and beyond what you could just whip up in a day, and
Right.
it's tried and true and tested. um, it really sounds like you guys have also built this management platform. You've built out a lot of logic. You've built out the idea of it avoiding getting your Facebook account banned. Like I know I wouldn't want to post 100 vehicles with Claude Cowork because I'd be too scared. I haven't done the research that you've done.
Right.
Um, so dive into that and let's see your platform a little bit and see like how it works.
Yeah. So, I mean, for sure, you could, obviously, if you wanted to bang your head for 6 months plus, trying to go through and just to make sure, John, you can see this.
Yes, looks great.
Okay, beautiful. So yeah, I mean, if you wanted to go through and bang your head for 6 months plus, and just trial and error, trial and error, trial and error, to do something similar to this, you definitely can. And don't get me wrong, like there's a lot of tools that I've even encountered with like individual salespeople, like that that had made little browser extensions and stuff like that that do like certain aspects of Autolander, just totally themselves. I would say that something like this, I guess where it's the studying and like the research would come into play is just the amount of feeds and even DMSs that we can connect to like flawlessly. And then also the bulk posting aspect was, I mean, that's something that I'm at least not aware of as far as like that's accessible just to like a salesperson. Typically, like if a service is offering something like that, then they're using VAs, or it's there's a person on the other end that's doing at least a good extent of that. But this is just what Autolander looks like. So, like I said, it keeps track of the vehicles that you have listed. This is kind of just your data center here, new inventory, and then, like I said, it keeps track of any price updates, sold vehicles that need to be renewed on your site. And then it is a true like bulk poster. Like if you came in here, you can select up to 20 at once. And just to show you kind of what it looks like, you just would select the vehicles, and when you hit post selected, you are done. You can walk away and go work on whatever else it was you were working on. You can do other things on your computer, call leads out of your CRM or do whatever else it is that needs to be done. Um, as far as the configuration, it's really simple. Like we were talking about, it's just essentially autopilot, like on Chrome, logging into your marketplace, and then it'll load your groups in and everything. And then, like I said, with the feeds, this works with pretty much any feed, DSM. You also have some other cool AI tools. You can remove background. You can make AI walk around videos, which are very intuitive and very accurate to the actual post itself. But yeah, this is, I don't want to like go too deep into this, but that's just a little view of kind of what the software looks like. And yeah, I guess to answer
Yeah,
your question, John.
quick questions. Could you show that again and show me what the like on the image, you could spend some credits and what'd you call it? Polish the image. Show me what that
So
does.
yeah, so there are a couple different kind of studio options. So a lot of
Studio.
dealers, like my dealer for instance, the first picture on the website would have the dealer branding all over it, and I always
Mhm.
hated that because I'm spending all this time posting my cars, but if a customer sees the dealer's branding, then there's a likelihood that they just call the dealer and then they end up getting sold by one of my coworkers. So this first photo, um, right here, if you have this selected, it's just gonna remove the background or take out any of those graphics. If you are the dealership that does that, it's
Mhm.
gonna just remove that first picture and just do the background removal on that first picture, so that all your leads, all the people that are messaging you on Facebook are just coming to you. These other ones, this is like to remove the all the backgrounds on all the exterior pictures, and then studio is where you start getting into the video generations. And just to show you really quick too, just so you can see an idea of like what the backgrounds look like,
Mhm.
there are a plethora to choose from here. And my favorite is the suburban driveway, which quite frankly is a little bit overpowered. It legitimately looks like that car is sitting in someone's driveway.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
but that's
relatable though. Like
it's
instead of and especially Facebook Marketplace, you don't want to buy from a dealer. Like you try to avoid that.
Exactly. So that, and then along with the descriptions that it writes, and having some control over what the descriptions are actually look like and how they're written, and the personalization that you can attach to
Uh,
it, all help with that.
wow. That's really impressive. I mean, I'm happy that you jumped into the platform because I think I was just seeing like, hey, it's just something to post on Facebook Marketplace, but the management behind it and the thought process that you have, and I would imagine you're just getting started. Even like it's not, how many more things can we do where AI is assisting you? Do you have things in your roadmap right now that like you'd be willing to share?
So I have played around a little bit with like an auto bot. A lot of people bring up like, oh, it'd be nice to, when people message me, it'd be nice to have a bot just respond and set the appointment and stuff like that. And there is ways to do that, but coming from like car sales myself, I know firsthand that to be a good salesperson, especially managing internet leads and dealing with people that are shopping 10 other cars, it takes a lot of human finesse to actually get them in, and like I like that you brought up that point when I was showing you the suburban driveway, because some people will probably respond to that and be like, hey, is this a dealer or is this a private sale? And as a car salesman, obviously you don't want to be misleading, but there is a finesse to kind of maybe not directly answering the question if you feel like that's a make or break kind of thing for that person you're dealing with. So my personal opinion is I think that it's always gonna, I don't know if there's an exact way to replicate like a true like great salesman as far as like being able to, kind of feel out like what a customer is doing and like what they kind of need to hear, or, and still, going along like morals and being transparent and stuff like that to get someone in the dealership. But definitely as far as like, I'm really interested. I love like some of the new stuff that's going on with like AI video. And I think that there's going to be a lot of ways to incorporate that into, dealers marketing and their presentation of their inventory and stuff like that. Definitely my brain goes to things like that down the line, that, just other things that we could offer that would be of value. But I'm sure, as the technology keeps advancing, and also, as I get deeper into the industry, at least on this end, there's you gotta constantly be evolving, so there'll be other stuff coming down the line for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know we had an amazing podcast show with a Centric Engine, and I have you heard of them or familiar with them?
I have not. What do they do?
They do the inventory photo or videos. So they do fully compliant. They work mainly with the manufacturers in tier two right now, but they're getting down into that tier three level and trying to, well, not trying to, but they are offering videos and more dynamic like functionality for just vehicle photos like that and turning it into like a real cool video. Another thing that I think would be really interesting is I know I tried to sell a vehicle on Facebook Marketplace just recently, ended up just selling it to the dealer eventually. Um, but I got a lot of dealer calls. And so
Yeah,
could you
yeah,
acquire vehicles and really do some outreach? And then I would imagine there's some analysis that needs to happen between just, you don't want to just reach out to everybody, but you could probably like look through the photos and try to determine would I want to purchase this? What is their listed price? And am I way too under? Because you don't want to waste your time and waste your credits when you're 30% under the list price. But maybe
right.
if it's only $1,000 off, then maybe that's okay. And it's willing to offer that price.
Yeah, I've the store that I was at, actually, I had my GM ask me a handful of times about if there was a way, because he saw what I was doing as far as selling cars off marketplace, and he brought up the idea about, well, what about buying cars? And that is a very, very interesting concept. And at least when I think about it right now and how that would work using like an AI tool, I would personally be kind of scared to try that, because it sounds like a lot of like bot messages and
Sure, a lot of
kind of
activity.
spammy behavior, if you will.
Yeah.
But stuff like that, like it's fun to go down kind of those like just thought tracks and get creative and think about different ways how that could be possible, though, because that's a huge, I mean, I would say that that's probably one of the most like untapped kind of avenues, one to buy cars, and I guess also to sell them, but that's like one of the main untapped, I feel like, lanes, for dealers. They're spending a lot of money at the auctions, and I know at some of the stores I was at, sometimes we get cars from the auction and be upside down in them, like right when they hit the lot. No potential
Immediately.
for any growth, yeah, other than just selling, add-on products and stuff like that. So, where you can really buy a car the right way is curb buys. And so, I've seen people that have like a specified person, like they just pay someone that goes through and does the outreach, essentially themselves. But then there's also like, Facebook has limits on how many messages you can send to people every day. There's
Hmm.
still just kind of things that make that hard, but there's a lot of exciting kind of ideas though along those lines. It's
Yeah,
fun to
that
think about them.
a lot of really great points. So who's purchasing this platform? Is it the dealer? Is it the sales rep that's just independently hustling? What does that look like?
So both. We've definitely, as I've started running like paid ads and stuff, I would say that it's probably about a 50-50 split now between like the calls that I'm getting on between dealers, a lot of like independent stores, like smaller independent stores, and then just salespeople. Um, and yeah, I mean, both can use it. There are a couple different configurations of this software. So what we're looking at right now is like what the salesperson would see, but I do have a variation for a dealership to where the sales managers, and whatnot would have kind of a manager's dashboard, so where they can see the activity for each individual salesperson. They can see the amount of vehicles posted within a certain time frame. They can actually see the leads that they're getting as well. Just kind of a more in-depth look. And this is something that for dealerships, like I always recommend to incorporate into the sales process, the already existing sales process. Make it a requirement. Hey, we're going to sign you guys up for this, and I expect you guys each post 10 vehicles a week or something, because it literally takes about 30 seconds to select the vehicles and then hit a button and you're done. You can continue on doing what you were doing prior, even if it is just scrolling TikTok or whatever. So I definitely both. And as like I said, like as we kind of build more features and stuff, I do want to have more like service more dealerships and some of those other avenues. But right now, I've just been focused on, hey, I'm gonna make the best tool that works the most consistently just for posting on marketplace. Um, and I'm also the lowest cost. You can get started on this as a salesperson for $39. Which is like you go out and spend that for. I mean, you spend $40 on dumb stuff. So you can do this and selling an extra couple cars. Most of the pay plans, it's a mini's a couple $100. So I'm definitely the most consistent and the cheapest that I'm aware of.
That price point is incredible to hear about. So, like, history on those prices is when we were reselling it, um, we were charging about $7. We were getting it for, I believe, like $4 per post. And that was just an API post. So that means
Okay.
that if you sell 150 vehicles a month, then we make, whatever, $7 on top of that.
Right.
And that was like that was maybe a few $1,000 that dealers would make, or that dealers would have to purchase. But now you're saying it's $39. That's crazy. And then the price went up. So after the APIs went away, then I know there's companies out there. I think Hammer was one of them, that would post for like $15. But all they're doing is they're hiring people in the Philippines to just post for you,
Right.
and they're like, hey, this is manual labor, but we've made it as affordable as we possibly can. Give us your Facebook account, we'll post on your behalf.
Right.
And but now you've just narrowed that down to $39, and essentially you can post all your inventory in a few days, and then just post it as it comes in after that.
Yep.
I do have a
Yeah. So
question. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah. So for that was kind of why I wanted to just do it that way is because for a dealer, even if they sign up 10 people on that $39 to where each salesperson can post 5 times a day, they're spending 300 less than $400, which for a dealer expense to have 10 salespeople posting, 100 an inventory of 100 vehicles is like extremely powerful.
Yeah, can two salespeople post the same vehicle?
Yeah, 100%. It comes down
Okay.
to I think this is the way to just look at AI in general. Because I know like some of like the yeah, this is just the way I prefer to look at AI in general. Is it's still at the end of the day, it still takes like there's going to be people that get on this every single day versus someone that's using it, they might get on 2 3 times a week. Like the person that is mastering the AI and learning every aspect of it is going to have more success than the person that's just lackadaisical and they get on a couple times a week or whatever. That's what I always explain to people is it's like, yes, like you are working with the same inventory, but if you're actually on there every day, if you guys get a new car on a Monday and you go ahead and post that new car as soon as it hits the inventory, and the next guy, he doesn't post that new car till Wednesday, you have 2 days over him of potential to sell it before he even gets around to posting it. You know what I'm saying? So that's like the way to kind of look at it is it's like the people that use it the most and use it the best are still going to have success over the ones that aren't.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the reason why I asked that is because before dealers purchase a lot of things and hire a lot of vendors. So sometimes they would pay us for Facebook Marketplace. They're also paying this other company for Facebook Marketplace, or their inventory provider is like upselling them into it. So
Right.
we would upload our feed, and half of the feed would fail because we're constantly like two people are uploading feeds around the same time, and the Facebook Marketplace used to not allow duplicate VINs, and so it was scanning for that. So now that they've moved it sounds like based on what you're saying, now that they've moved it to just a peer-to-peer, salespeople are posting, maybe they removed a lot of those regulations because they don't have to monitor businesses as much.
Yeah, I mean, I could potentially see that being a problem with like posting from maybe like a business page or something like that. But I have countless dealers with multiple salespeople signed up, and I've never had an issue with it.
Yeah.
You also, I guess, something else that could be playing a part in that is that, like I showed you with the background removals, you know, it doesn't mean that all the posts are going to look the same, right? Because
Yeah, that's nice.
I might use the suburban driveway, and then the other salesperson might be using, the sunset parking lot, or and so on. So it still does allow for personalization and for everything to kind of look differently, even though you are, I guess at the end of the day, posting the same stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, I was really inspired today. I think it's amazing to see that like anybody. I guess actually before I assume, like, do you have engineers on staff or
Yeah.
is this you? You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not
Yeah.
technologically inclined enough, even though, you know, some of the vibe coding and stuff nowadays, like, really anyone can do it. I had two developers, and I still have one that I pay, that's a part of my team that helps with bugs and, different things like that that pop up for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. But it is crazy to see like how much easier it is for people to just throw up software. Like everybody's developing some software. So if I'm watching this video, I empower you. For those watching this video, I empower you to think about like what problem in your day to day could you solve with software. And
Yeah.
it sounds like Hayden spent a bunch of time developing this. I'm not going to tell you it's super simple, but I'll also say that I've developed little solutions in my day with software, vibe coded without an engineer in a day. And now I have like this little thing that creates invoices for me, or this little thing that pays sales commissions, or this little thing that submits dealerships phone numbers through A2P compliance and make sure that they're regulated in that way. And it's like so many little things. Now those aren't SaaS platforms that are super feature rich like Outlander is right now. Um, but don't think that you have to be an engineer. Now, if you are planning on going down that SaaS route, definitely just like Hayden did, and just like we have at CarDealer.ai, hire the engineers because like vibe coding software is not going to get you all the way. Even though you could sell it, it's going to break, and you're going to have to try to
Right.
figure it out, and you're not going to be good at dissecting what that looks like.
Yeah, it
So,
is. It is. It
uh,
is amazing though, and I totally agree with you. I think that it's only a benefit for anyone and everyone to just play around with the AI stuff that's available and constantly be learning, and um, just kind of harnessing your skills in that area because I do think that it's inevitably. I mean, as you can see right now, the conversation we're having, it's like it's. I feel like we're early in the game with a lot of it, and
yeah,
it's already making like crazy impacts. And I actually, just to throw this in real quick, John, I
yeah.
actually ran a essentially like a I essentially ran like an idea though of what this would have costed me and the time that it would have
Mm.
taken to make this without AI, and it said it was like 16 to 32 months, and it was, I think it said nine people, like nine like developers, and
Mm-hmm.
around $2 million. And
I
this
don't I
took
don't doubt it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
this took maybe 6 months. Two um, developers, and they're really just like close friends of mine. So I'm not even saying they're like geniuses at code or anything like that, but just having a basic understanding of code, and how kind of
Okay.
softwares work and stuff like that. It took 6 months, and you know maybe a couple grand.
Yeah, that's
So
incredible. I think one time I said I feel like everybody needs to have just bake in $1,000 a month to have your own personal like AI architect coder,
yeah,
because like if they just sat next to you and saw your day to day, they could just pick off like three things that they could develop and say, I could just solve that for you. I can automate that for you. And
Right.
for an international salary of, call it $1,000, if that's your target, of course I can go up and down in either direction, but it's so worth it. $12,000 off whatever your salary is today to
Yeah.
say, hey, I have somebody who's going to automate my whole job for me or develop software to make my job more efficient, whatever that looks like. I think every business definitely needs an AI architect in house to just be constantly at work. And then once you get one, you're going to need five
Right.
because you're going to have way too many ideas of what you can make better and how you can make more money if you
Yeah.
were more efficient.
Totally agree.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time, Hayden. I really enjoyed this conversation. Incredible platform. Congratulations on all the work that you've done and what it's turned out to be. I hope you a lot of success. I would love to invite you back to this podcast maybe in 6 months from now. I feel like everything
Yeah.
changes so quickly. We just started this podcast like 6 months ago, and I'm like, the topics are so different already.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just want to follow up with everybody. So please reach out around that time, and I hope to just keep in touch also.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. I appreciate the time, John.
yeah, for everybody watching, if you like content like this, please like, subscribe, hit that bell icon so that we get notified every time a show comes out. And then join us in our Facebook group. Was AI in automotive, now it's Stack the Dealer. And so look for that. There's some amazing AI conversations happening in that group. I'll see y'all later.